So what I'm going to let you do, if you don't mind, Chris, is I want you to share with everybody from your perspective what nobody is reporting.
Sure, no problem. I'll start by saying that this is extremely timely, especially because of John Rowland's investigation and trial that is beginning today. And a lot of what we're going to talk about goes back to actually the rules and the laws that were put in place because of some of the activities that the former governor ended up going to jail for. So with that, what's basically happened is that the Connecticut Elections Enforcement Commission has been investigating the CEO of Northeast Utilities, who owns natural gas, is a natural gas company, and they're investigating him because he asked his employees to support the governor's reelection by making a donation. Now, in a democracy, that's not typically a problem, unless you are a state contractor. The legislature a number of years ago, after the Rowland scandal, passed a law that said that people who are contractors, and this is a special contractor because they're a regulated monopoly, they're regulated by the state, and they're given a guaranteed rate of return. So that means they never lose money.
Right.
They always make money.
Right.
So because of that, they're prohibited from making these contributions. With that being said, they're investigating because donations have been solicited and given to the tune of about $50,000. And what that means to us is that my family-owned Connecticut Energy Marketers, who sell home heating oil, propane, HVAC services, have been adversely affected by the governor's plan to expand 900 miles of new gas pipeline in the state. And that's like running a gas pipeline from New London to Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's how much pipe they want to put in, convert 280,000 people. So if you follow the money, you have a natural gas utility CEO soliciting donations for the governor's reelection when that's a prohibited activity, and then you have a governor who's out there looking to convert hundreds of thousands of people, shift billions of dollars of costs back to ratepayers. So your listeners are going to end up, in many cases, paying 30% more for natural gas because of this plan, and the $17.5 billion company in Northeast Utilities will not have to contribute one penny. And that's the concern that we have. It doesn't pass the smell test, Lee.
All right, what is, though, I guess when you're putting all the gas pipes down and you're trying to convert everybody, what's the negative impact? Explain to everybody the negative impact on the people that you represent.
Sure. We compete all the time with utilities when they come into neighborhoods and they want to convert someone from home heating oil or propane to natural gas. So we do that all the time. This energy plan provides subsidization and incentives for people to do that. So my members, the family-owned companies that are in their second, third, and fourth generation, Connecticut-based, would be adversely affected if people switch fuels. Now, again, if it's a fair level playing field, we'll compete for your business. But it's not fair when the utility's CEO is soliciting money for the reelection of governor who wants that to happen. That's unfair.
I don't disagree with any of that. I think if you're giving money to the governor, you shouldn't also be performing a task for that governor as well. I don't think the two go hand in hand. But you just mentioned that people are going to pay 30% more for their electric cost if this all comes to pass. And my question again goes out to you is, can't the people that you represent undercut these folks by giving them cheaper product?
Well, it's not the 30% increases in electricity. It would be for natural gas users first. And then absolutely, we will compete. We will do our best. The problem is that utilities have to get you to agree to convert before we even know. So there's no fair warning. They can go in there, they can have you sign a contract, you convert, and by the way, I question whether they're disclosing all the information. It's something that we're looking into right now to find out if they're telling people that there'll be a 30% premium. If our members were to know, if your current energy provider, your propane company, your heating oil company were to know that in advance, sure, they'd be able to compete. But right now, it's all behind closed doors.
Again, we're talking this morning to Chris Herb, president of the SEMA. Is it called SEMA, or do you have you go with the acronym, or do you go by the president of the Connecticut Energy Makers of Connecticut? What do you do?
Yeah, SEMA, Connecticut Energy Marketers Association.
I just want to make sure that we get to. And by the way, your website is ctema.com. And I want to make sure folks go to that. They represent 600 family-owned home heating oil companies in Connecticut. All right, so you're out there right now. you're somebody who's concerned about this, you're upset about this. Malloy again seems to be using a practice that not only is unethical and maybe it's illegal. What do people do?
Well, right now the Elections Enforcement Commission has put off their final decision for, actually I think this is the second delay in it. So right now there's not a lot your listeners can do. I would say that, confidence is going to be shaken severely if the right outcome doesn't come out of this. Now, we believe that they're doing their diligence, and we think that, you know what, bring it to the polls. In November, you will have a say. The outcome of this investigation, I think if you follow the money, it will come out correctly. But if not, you can speak at the polls.
All right, now, let's say the governor is able to get the 280,000 homes in Connecticut to switch over to natural gas in the long run. What does that do to the family-owned home heating? Does it put them out of business? They done?
Sure. Our industry employs about 13,000 people in Connecticut, the petroleum industry in total. The first effect of these conversions will be our workforce, truck drivers, people who answer phones, customer service, heating and air conditioning technicians. That will be the first effect, that people will lose their jobs. Second effect is these families will lose their businesses. And once they go away, they won't come back. Unfortunately, we have a vibrant industry here that's providing jobs, paying taxes, sponsoring the local baseball team and the local fairs. When we go away, there is no replacing us. This isn't like the governor throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at a corporation to prevent them from moving to Alabama. We can't do our business anywhere else. This is where we live. This is where we've been raised, and you can't go sell heating oil in Florida.
No, you can't do that. No, it just seems like it's whether or not you want to take a side here in this fight. To bottom line to me, it just seems unethical for a company that is on the dole, if you will, to actually solicit donations to help prop up the current governor. That doesn't work for me. Some of the other stuff, we can haggle over, but when you're asking people to give money to try to get the current governor reelected again, I have a problem with that.
Lee, and I think that everybody agrees with you. Clearly the General Assembly does. Rowland was the last one. He didn't get away with it. They caught him, and now he's, for the second time going back to court over these sorts of allegations. And now it seems like history is repeating itself. Again, I want to see what the outcome of the investigation is by the Elections Enforcement Commission, but there is clearly a law that says that you can't do this. Now, even if they found some loophole, some technicality, it clearly violates the spirit of the law. Like you said, a regulated monopoly, guaranteed rate of return, they always make money. They're $17.5 billion. They got a multi-billion-dollar energy plan that supports their business. They clearly should not be engaged in soliciting money for the person who wants that plan to go into effect.
I'd even take it a step further. I know this is off topics, but I have a problem with companies doing that in general. I would hate to have my boss come knocking on the door here of the studio and say, "Hey, listen, I'm getting some funds together to give it to whomever." I don't care what political party it is that they would want elected. I would have an issue with that.
Some companies prohibit you from selling Girl Scout cookies for your daughter.
Right.
So these same companies that in some cases prohibit that activity to support the Girl Scouts are out there soliciting money for public officials.
No, but I just think it puts the employee in a very tough spot. If you got a boss who's not necessarily the greatest guy in the world who comes knocking on the door of some cubicle somewhere and says, "Hey, listen, give me $10 for this particular candidate," and you don't pony up, and all of a sudden, when the axe falls, you're the one that goes. That stinks. I don't like that.
It is. This whole activity is wrong on multiple levels.
I agree with you.
The contractor prohibition because of the potential quid pro quo or the pressure that it puts on an employee who might not have the money and clearly should be able to make up their own mind without pressure from their supervisor.
Absolutely. Just because the supervisor or the boss is a Republican or a Democrat, he shouldn't force the people who are underneath him to be the same. I don't like that. Hey, listen, Chris, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Once again, the folks out there who want the website maybe to learn a little bit more, where do they go?
Yeah, it's www.ctema.com.
Chris Herb, again, I do appreciate your time this morning. We'll talk down the road. Always good to talk to you on the radio, and we'll catch up.
Lee, thank you very much.
You got it. We got to take a break. We're running out of time. I'm sorry about some of the portions of that interview. I was joking. But he did a great job, so hopefully he got the word out for you. And you could go take a look for yourself and see if something you want to continue to investigate. It doesn't, as they say, or he says in his op-ed, it doesn't pass the smell test, and I would have to agree with that. 23 out to the hour of 8 o'clock. Don't move. 94.9 News Now and Stimulated Talk. We'll be back. More phone calls after the break. Stick around.
Traffic alert on 94.9 News Now.
One car crash in East Lyme on Grassy Hill Road near the Montville Town Line. The road remains open. Look for some congestion on 395 northbound. That's at the Montville Connector.